Health with Paul Rosen.
Our diets, our Western diets in America are just really, you just don't realize how poor they really are.
What would you say to others who would like to feel better?
Sometimes you need to find the instruction. That's where the testing and everything comes in, because without that knowledge, there's no way I could have got to the point where I'm at today.
Straight talk about health.
And then I start preaching and telling them what I've been doing. And this guy named Paul Rosen has changed my life.
With your host, Paul Rosen.
By the way, the information contained in this program is not approved by the FDA, nor intended to treat, diagnose, or claim to cure any medical condition or disease as defined by Western medicine. However, skilled practitioners of many disciplines have found nutrition response testing to be a highly reliable supportive technology for assessing the health and fitness of the body's functional system.
Food must contain a certain nutrient density in order to be useful for the body to maintain normal function. And that includes things like minerals and vitamins and so forth. But the food depends on the soil to absorb these things. And if the soil is denuded or somehow stripped of its nutrient density, then the foods grown in the soil will not contain it. And there have been documented instances of testing foods that are grown in commercial soils that use synthetic fertilizers and have done for many years, versus organic soils where the nutrient density, the content of the food, like say an orange with that has vitamin C in it. Basically, they actually have tested oranges that have no vitamin C in it.
That's pretty horrifying. And
minerals, and where your kale is grown, where your quinoa is grown, where your et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? It starts with the soil. That's the reason to buy organic. And then it's about the environment, where our bodies are confronted with toxins and toxicity of all stripes and natures via the air we breathe, the water we drink, the showers we take, and the soil that we're exposed with. And so our livers, our kidneys, our spleens, the filtering organs can become pretty overwhelmed. Our glands, like the parotid gland and thyroid gland and adrenal gland, can become overwhelmed with pollutants of various sorts. And just eating, food simply is not enough. Simply not enough. It would have been 100 years ago, but not today. And because the environment is becoming more and more toxic, then having the appropriate supplement to support bodily functions, I believe, is really critical. And I come to that conclusion because of my experience in the clinic.
In addition to making our diets better, supplementing those diets with vitamin supplements and vitamins, what else can we do to improve our environment? By that I mean, are there products we can use which may be good substitutes for those which may be harmful?
Well, my recognition that the foods that we eat may not be as nutrient dense as they used to be shouldn't dissuade us from making the proper choices, and that is eating whole, fresh food. As I mentioned earlier, eggs and liver and our other types of whole foods are necessary to gain access to, say, the B vitamins or the D vitamins. So
I too was getting at things that we can use in our environment. You've mentioned certain kinds of oils that can serve as a substitute for regular hand lotions, for example. Or maybe air fresheners or things like that.
Yeah. Let's listen to. Let's sort of stay on the supplement line with respect to vitamins at the moment. We'll get into that in a second.
You blew that one right off.
I did, because I want David to speak for all of us.
Paul's patient David and his road to better health.
You mentioned some of the other methods that you had tried to help your symptoms, and I don't know, did you ever take any prescription medications, or did you just avoid that on the front side?
Yeah, pretty much I avoided prescriptions, but I mean, I was taking some over-the-counter stuff. I mean, the other thing that I was having before I came to see you is I was getting these tension headaches in the back of my neck. I mean, all the neck muscles would tighten up, and then, I would, take Aleve, some of the over-counter type stuff, and then when I'd have the inflammation in my finger and my hand, I was taking a product that seemed to work pretty well, but like you said, I think it just was turning off the alarm bell and, just relieving the symptoms and not really getting to the root cause of the problem.
And we were able to figure out the root cause, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was?
My body wasn't regulating.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Your body wasn't regulating. And in particular, especially, and we talked about this, but especially in the neck, people who are having neck problems in general, that tightness, stiffness, even pain, consistent shoulders, even between the shoulder blades, look to the thyroid. Look to the thyroid. Fix that baby. You can fix it. We have been, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason I bring it up, David, is because the overwhelming majority of people utilizing Western medicine and the conservative approach, when they're having these symptoms, reach for the over-the-counter stuff instead of realizing that there is a nutritional cause, and that cause is the effects of the nutritional deficiencies are affecting their organs and glands like the thyroid. And for those of you folks who have already discovered you've got a forest fire, that is to say you've been to a doctor, you've gotten your blood tests, and your blood tests show that you've gotten too much thyroid stimulating hormone going on, because the body is trying to tell the thyroid to work, get to work, you lazy thyroid. And it can't, because of the missing piece. And then the doctor will say, okay, fine, you've got to take a hormone replacement therapy, and you'll have to take that for the rest of your life. And the bottom line is, it isn't true, it isn't true, it isn't true. Period. Now, I know for you, David, that wasn't, your main issue, or at least you thought, but it was clearly part of the problem.
Yeah, you obviously can speak to this better than me, but I've heard that the thyroid regulates the immune system, and sometimes I was having these chronic colds and sinus things that would go on for a long period of time, and that was probably part of the picture as well.
Exactly, and that's the thing. So for folks who have chronic sinus problems and are taking antibiotic after antibiotic after antibiotic, you ain't getting it. You're not getting it. Fix the thyroid. Also, you got to fix the adrenal glands, too. And, of course, that was one of the things that you found out. The root of that fatigue was those adrenal glands.
Yeah, and the other thing that I thought was good is that we were able to make some adjustments. I would tell you what the symptom was, and then you'd tell me what to do to, help the body heal. And
it would do it. It would definitely do it.
Yeah.
And was the evaluation painful?
No, not at all.
Was it? Had you utilized muscle testing before, or was this your first experience?
No, yeah, I've used it before, and then I had really good success with it, so I believed in it. But the thing that I found interesting about your aspect is the thing that you were talking about, where the body switches.
Oh, the regulation part.
Right, because I've heard people say, well, muscle. I've read things where people say, oh yeah, this guy muscle tests me, and it doesn't work. Well, if the body switches, that's probably why
they're not finding the root cause of regulation.
If the body switches, what was he referring to with that?
Well, regulation is this concept or this recognition that in order for your body to maintain normal function, it has to be regulating normally. That is, regulating itself, right? As an organism, there's many, many functions going on at once, right?
I can agree with that,
okay.
yes.
So you have to regulate them. There's got to be something back there, some Wizard of Oz back there pulling the strings. That's the autonomic nervous system. That's what that is.
So if that's out of whack, your whole system.
So if that's out of whack, then either your whole system or a part of the system is going to lack regulation. Well, recognizing that is very simple because regulation is when a body's regulating, you don't have symptoms. When it's not regulating, you have symptoms.